What's going on, people? This is Shok, and we got a couple things to talk about today. And I already know off the bat, people are going to be like, another negative Shokio video. Why is this guy always negative? Guys, I do not enjoy being negative. That doesn't make sense to me. That is illogical to me. I know some people exist out there that are like that, but that's not me. I don't enjoy being negative. I would love to be happy all the time, every time, and be satisfied with everything. In my own little perfect little world, right? But that's just not how things are. If it seems like I'm negative a lot regarding Nintendo and stuff like that, guys, it's because, well, they're doing a lot of negative decisions. There's a lot of bad things to talk about. There's correlation here. See what I'm saying? This stuff isn't coming out of nowhere. I'm not doing these criticisms for no reason. But if there's a poor decision that this company is making, and there's a lot of them, then of course, correspondingly, my channel is going to have more negative videos than positive ones. Now, maybe if they started making great decision after great decision, there'd be more positive videos. But until then, guys, you guys are going to get what Nintendo gives us. What Nintendo gives me is what I'm going to give to you guys. So for every stupid thing that they do, there will be a negative video. So if Shokio complains a lot, keep in mind, that is a reflection of the poor state of our favorite company currently. Period. But again, this isn't to be negative. This isn't supposed to be a rant video. This is legitimate criticism. This is pretty freaking serious, guys. And this is also pretty indefensible. But let's get started. We got to talk about this online. So basically, the matchmaking and the whole invite system on your friends list and the party chat are going to be done via an app on your phone. For those of you who may not know, yes, it sounds crazy. I thought it was some misinformation at first, it's some stupid rumor, but pretty much the Switch's online functionality is going to be done through mobile devices, through a mobile app that DNA is making. Now, of course, the game connectivity is being done through, the actual system itself and things like that. But as far as the online features, that side of things, you can set up appointments and to play with your friends, and like I said, inviting friends, viewing your friends list, and voice chat. That's going to be done through your phone. It's not going to be on the system itself, according to what Nintendo, Reggie, and multiple reps have said. I haven't seen any of them say anything different, so it looks like this is what it is. All that's going to be handled through your phone. And Reggie's reasoning for this, of course, hella silly. He said that I think it's rather forward thinking, having the voice chat and everything done through a device that you always have on you at all times, anyways, is a hell of a lot more convenient than carrying a headset around in your backpack. End quote. It's literally what he said. Which doesn't make sense to me because he acts like headsets are some huge cumbersome devices or whatever. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Most headsets these days, premium ones at least, or ones made for gaming, stuff like that, are, collapsible. You can fold them and stuff like that. There's some that are even so small and thin and, foldable. You could crumble it up, put it in your pocket even, some of them, right? But not only that, but if you're taking your Switch on the go with you, because they're trying to say like, oh, the Switch is an on the go system, so it makes sense to have to put the online things on another system that's also on the go, but why not just have it on the system itself? Because it just doesn't make sense. But if you're already bringing the Switch with you, you're already going to have a bag. You see what I'm saying? You're not just going to bring your Nintendo Switch and not carry it in a bag, just carry it out in the open the whole time, right? So I don't see what difference there is in having a backpack right there that has a Switch in it, and then having a backpack that has a Switch in it and headphones. Like, that makes a huge difference, right? Headphones are extra light, they're extra small, they don't make anything any more inconvenient, anything like that. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. But when we finally get invites to games, when we finally get an invite system, when we finally get voice chat, when we finally get better matchmaking, things like that, in typical Nintendo fashion, they find some way to mess it up. They completely put it on a whole nother device, which defeats the purpose. The whole purpose of clamoring for, a party chat and invites and all that stuff was to have it on the system itself. That was the whole point. Because the lack of cross-game chat always meant that Nintendo gamers had to have a separate device for the voice chat. We always have to have our play near our computers, which I've always done. It has been a problem for me, but I look at the bigger picture. I'm not talking about what I personally feel or what personally inconveniences me or anything like that, people. I'm looking out for everyone else. I'm talking about everyone else. All encompassing context. Stop thinking about yourselves. Because for those of you who've been subbed to me for a while, you know that I've always, clamored for cross-game chat and, party chat and, all the invites, all that basic stuff that Xbox had like in 2005, 2006, right? It's crazy. It's 2017. And we still can't get these things on a modern Nintendo system. Think about that. That is insane. But like I was saying anyways, you guys know I've been clamoring about this for years. And while I've been clamoring about this, I always make sure to point out that I'm not saying I want these things just because of me, because I had an Xbox One, sold it. I have a PS4. I never really used the cross game chat on those systems. I used the cross game chat on those systems a couple times. Just a couple. Maybe I could count it on one hand how many times I used the party chat features in those systems. So when I'm saying it needs these things, guys, don't reply in the comments, "Oh, because you care about that doesn't mean other people do." I don't care, because I'm not talking about this for me. I'm talking about this for other people. There's plenty of people who they don't game near their computer. Some people game in their living rooms where their computer isn't. Oh, they can just have a laptop. Not everybody has a laptop. And then people who do have a laptop don't want to be carrying it around the house wherever they want to play their Switch just to have chat, right? And so that was the problem with the whole not having cross-game chat on the actual system. But now they have cross-game chat, but it's not on the system yet, still. It's still on a separate device, completely defeating the purpose. And not only that, but they put it on a device. I mean, not that there's really any other device that wouldn't be able to offer this, but they put it on a device that already has voice chat applications. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. They're putting their voice chat on the phone. Phones that have Discord and Skype apps and other voice apps as well. But no, those are two major ones. And they're most likely better than whatever DNA is going to be cooking up for Nintendo. So if you're going to crack open your phone to open up that Nintendo app to talk to your friends while you game, you might as well just use the Discord app. And so basically, Nintendo is charging you an online fee, which we still don't know how much it is. At least I don't think so. I haven't seen any official pricing, whatever. They're charging you an online fee to access online features through a mobile device. A device that you could use those features with free in the first place. They're charging you for shit you already have access to or should have access to. You shouldn't charge me to have to do friend invites and cross game chat, let alone play to pay online. That goes for all three companies. But we're kind of used to it at this point, but that still doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it any better. That's no justification. Don't get it twisted. Makes no sense. Now, a lot of people are pointing out that this is a form of parental control. That's most likely true, knowing Nintendo, because they're all about they're so concerned about the kiddos, not realizing the majority of their fan base is actually adults. Hello, Nintendo. I can't believe you still don't get that. The majority of the people who buy your systems are adults. The majority of the people who play Pokemon games are adults. The majority of people who enjoy the 3D Marios and Zeldas are adults, or people who have been playing your system since the 2D era. Started with the NES and SNES. SNES was the first system I played. And they're still giving us the short end of the stick for a minority of their consumer base. And they're doing it in ways that they don't even need to do. Right? It's like, how many times do you hear terrible stories about something terrible happening to a kid over Xbox Live and PSN? And of course, I'm not saying those things haven't happened. They have. I've seen some of the stories themselves, but I'm saying that it's rarely happened. When you think about all the years and all the people who had a 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PS4, you take all those years and all those systems, all those sales into account, and you look at the number of cases that have happened, it is very minute. Very small percentage. We're talking about 0.0001% of kids on these systems have had something bad happen to them, which isn't the company's fault, by the way, and it's not the online service's fault in the first place. It is the adult's fault if something happens to their child. Nintendo, it is not on you if something bad happens to a child playing on your system. It is on that child's legal guardian or guardians. Period. But you continue to screw over your hardcore fans, the people who you get the majority of the sales from, the majority of, the console sales or whatever, right? The people who champion you guys, the people who are loyal, the guaranteed sales you will get every generation, but you still cater to the kids and the people who are with you in the Wii generation who left you. You're still doing things for the people that left you. Think about that. And we're getting the short end of the stick from it. But yeah, this is most likely due to parental controls because they showcase specifically all the parental control capabilities you can have now that all the online stuff is done through a phone. So basically, through your phone, the parent's phone, you can link it up to your kid's phone through the app, and you can see what they're playing, how long they're playing it. You can set a timer on the games and stuff like that. You could disable the online altogether, disable the voice chat altogether, and stuff like that. So this is most likely an off-the-system feature set just because of kids, just because of parental controls. And honestly, guys, you should all feel insulted by that. Honestly. Or you're telling me how I should feel? Yes. Guys, I know I said this before, but in this case, especially, for real. This is factually bad. This is factually insulting. There's no reason why it should be set up this way. There's no defense for it. None. Is it, guys, you hardcore Nintendo fans where your channels are 99% positive, you rarely have a bad thing to say about Nintendo, all you guys, whatever. Do you think it's really a lot to ask for to have voice chat on the system? Just on the system to be able to invite my friends on the system that I spent $300 on and that I have to pay an online subscription service for. Do you guys really think that is an unfair thing to ask for? Do you think that it is not complaint worthy? Like, honestly, you cannot sit here and tell me that it's not. You can't. This is legitimate bullshit. And I will honestly be shocked if I see a single comment on my video of someone trying to defend this. I can't, and it's crazy because we're still confused on some of this too. Like, we still don't know all the details, and we still don't know exactly how it's all going to work. And I've seen a lot of Nintendo groups, and some people saying, well, it could be this and it could be that, and I don't know, yada yada. And I'm just like face palming because a lot of people gave me crap, right, for talking about how they didn't show the system enough and talk about the features and the operating system and all that. And this is one of the reasons why. And people always say they'll explain it later. And yeah, they give us tidbits, but they still never give us, the solid stuff. They never go in depth. They don't really put out videos showing, this stuff later on. And I'm just like, hello, this is exactly the reason why I said this stuff is important. There wouldn't be any confusion whatsoever surrounding this if at the reveal, they said, okay, let's show you how the online is going to work. Then someone came out with the phone or whatever. They showed the phone, on the stream. And, they went through it that way. They opened up the Switch and they showed what features were on the Switch and what were on the phone. Bam! Mystery would have already been solved. Yada, yada, yada. But now we have just a few details. We don't know exactly how it works. We haven't seen, the videos necessarily of everything and stuff like that. And this is why it's so important to show these things during a reveal. Do you guys get it now? And that's why it was objectively a bad reveal, because you were still hella confused about the system afterwards. There's still so many questions, much more than normal, much more than questions you would have got from a PlayStation reveal. You see what I'm saying? Not informative enough, not clear enough. And then we have reps coming out with different reports, and stuff like that. We don't know if this game's running in 900p or 1080p or 30 frames or 60 frames. This is stuff you could talk about during a reveal. Give people clarity, clear information. When you do a reveal, when you're doing a conference and a presentation, those are the times to make things definitive, to make things clear. Do you guys get it now? I still felt like I didn't know the system after that presentation. We knew about the Joy-Cons, that's for sure, which I'm going to begin to in a second, the second part of this video. But outside of like the physicality of the system, the controllers, still we're left in, the dark about most of it. Didn't know what features the system had. We still don't know if we could upload videos, from whatever. Apparently there's a share button according to reports, from people like Emily Rogers and stuff like that. But I don't think I've seen Nintendo talk about the share button at all. I think in the list of online services it says something about uploading pictures to social media or something like that. But what about videos, right? They're just this. I'm sorry, but people always pull that, they'll talk about it later thing, and then you wait till later and they still haven't talked about it. So one, either these features don't exist, or two, they're not going to talk about it until, E3 at this point. Because if they haven't talked about it now, then you would have to assume that if those features do actually exist, they're waiting for another event. You see what I'm saying? So it's just, what's the point of doing that wait if those features do exist? You guys keep saying that defense over and over again, and you know how Nintendo operates. Yeah, some questions get answered, but it's never all. And even some of the questions that do get answers, there's still other questions left. It may be vague answers, it may be not specific, it might just be a little bit of the answer. Nintendo is just such a difficult company to deal with, guys. They are. It's 2017. For 2 generations, we haven't had friend invites and cross-game chat. And for a third generation in a row, we're still not going to have a party chat and invite system on our gaming device. We're spending $300 on a system, and we can't even expect them to do these things and put it on a device. And unlike last generation and generation before that, you can't use the excuse of, stop telling them to copy every feature Sony and Microsoft does. Although, what the hell is wrong with awesome features? Well, stop talking about she wants streaming. They're not just going to copy. If it's good, copy it. That's not even copying. That's not, streaming isn't a Sony made thing or a Microsoft invented thing. It's just kind of a natural step. It's a gaming device. We have gaming platform sites. That's a natural evolution. That's like saying, all the other gaming companies copied shoulder buttons. No, they didn't. Nintendo was just the first one to realize that was the natural next step. That was a natural evolution. If Nintendo wasn't around, somebody would have done shoulder buttons eventually. It only makes sense, right? You see what I'm saying? It's frustrating. It's frustrating how... Moving on, let's talk about the prices of these accessories. Incredibly overpriced. The controllers, the docks, everything. And so incredibly overpriced. And Nintendo knows damn well that most of these things do not cost anywhere near the amount that they are selling them for. This is pure... Nintendo has shown some pretty greedy tactics in the past, but this is next level. And I think it might have to do with Kimishima. I'm not sure, because... he's a very business-minded individual. He's, a lot more business-heavy than Iwata was. So I think he might be kind of price gouging us a little bit. A dock is $80? 99% of the dock is an empty shell of plastic. All it is a C connector, a USB-C connector port, AC adapter for the power, HDMI cable to go to the TV, and a USB port. It's literally a plastic dock with 4 ports. And they're selling it for $80. Wow. Wow. There's no way in hell that thing costs Nintendo more than $10 to make, people. If you know electrical components and all that stuff and circuitry, that doesn't cost them more than $10. No way in hell. Unless there's something I'm missing here, something about the port that I don't know about, but I've seen the diagram, label, and everything. It's a plastic shell with 4 connectors. I think it has a fan in it too, but fans are cheap as hell. You go to Fry's and buy a fan for $1, and that's a consumer price. Also, keep in mind that when a company is manufacturing a device, they buy things in bulk. And when companies get bulk deals and do things in mass production, they get things 50,000 times cheaper than we buy them off shelves. You see what I'm saying? If I go out and buy a certain fan, a processor, whatever, we're paying more than a company would if they had to buy that fan or processor in millions. You see what I'm saying? So this stuff is cheap, and they are gouging us. Now the Joy-Cons, I think, might cost around high enough to where that price is justifiable for how much it costs. But I still have an issue with that because I think it costs that much because of all the HD rumble and the motion control technology and all the extra stuff that they put in there that we didn't ask for. Like I said, I'm kind of cool that stuff is in there because I do kind of miss the Wii control for certain genres and certain games. Like I said, I'm glad the IR pointer is back. Because I love the IR pointer for first-person shooters. It feels so smooth. It's pretty much the best thing you can get on console when it comes to accuracy and aiming. You know, again, on console, a lot of people like to argue mouse, but I'm talking about on console, the Wii remote was the best for shooters, hands down. So, you know, I like that. Don't get me wrong. But, like, all this other stuff that they put in, you could feel ice cold glass of water by holding the Joy-Con. It's like, you know, that's cool, but you're literally making us pay $50 extra. I'm pretty sure that's why the Switch is $300. Not because necessarily the Switch is a beefy system or anything like that. I think 50 of those dollars is because the Joy-Cons are expensive because of all the technology that is crammed into these small little controllers. I really think that's it. Think about that. These controllers have a lot of technology crammed into them, and 90% of the things within them we don't need for gaming. We didn't ask for, but they're there, and we have to pay for stuff we didn't need or ask for. And so we're paying extra $50 on the system for that. And then if we lose these things, which is very likely for a lot of us, because Nintendo, this is an on-the-go system, so they know that we're going to be losing these things, and they're like $80 for 2, I think, or $90. I think it's $80 to get 2, $50 for 1. Just insane pricing. For the controller dock, the little controller you can put the slides in, it then becomes like a kind of more of a standard controller. That's $30 when all that is a shell of plastic and a couple LED lights to show you the battery life of each Joy-Con. And that's $30 when there's no way in hell that cost them more than $10 to make. These accessory pricings are not okay, Nintendo. And I really hope the Nintendo fanbase comes together collectively and tells them that they are not okay with these prices so they can possibly even change them before launch. If not, drop them in price quickly post-launch. Guys, I'm going to encourage you not to buy any of that crap at launch unless you absolutely need it replaced. If it's broken or lost, of course, I don't fault you for doing it. But just to buy extras, just have extra controllers and stuff like that, guys, we gotta let them know. These prices are not okay. They are really trying to get us from behind on these prices. And that goes for the online as well. I don't care what price the online is. I mean, maybe if it's $10 a month, okay, kind of acceptable. But we know if it's anywhere 40 plus, not okay. Not okay. Making us pay for gameplay, and yeah, we have to pay for PSN and Xbox Live. But I'm saying that if it's 40 plus, it won't be okay because we all know this online is not going to be up to par with Xbox Live and PSN. We know. So if Nintendo has the nerve to make us pay a similar price for a dramatically weaker online experience, that is not okay. And we need to speak out about that, guys. We do. It's not going to be okay. Not to mention, we're going to be charged for online gameplay when we know we know. Don't do this. Let's wait and see thing, guys. You know, we've always said wait and see, and Nintendo has hardly ever proven us wrong when we've said that. Let's be honest. So let's not do this again. Let's get it right the first time. Let's go ahead and start letting Nintendo know how we feel right now, because we know what's going to happen in the future. Nothing's going to change. But like I was saying, they're going to make us to pay to play online and stuff when they're not going to offer us that many online games. We know that's going to happen. There's going to be Splatoon, of course. There's going to be Mario Kart. Of course, those games are going to have online. One's a freaking port of an online game. Another one's a sequel to an online-focused game. But we know when Nintendo comes out with, brand new titles, Splatoon is like the only exception, of course. They don't do online for them. 3D World, and, no online. Miyamoto said he thought about doing online for Pikmin 3. Didn't do it. Nintendo Land didn't have online. New Super Mario Bros. U didn't have online. All great games that would have been hella fun online. I would still be playing some of those games if they had online. We know that a fraction of Nintendo's games, at least on console, get online multiplayer. So think about that. They're charging you for online gameplay, and then they're going to be offering you maybe one online game per year, maybe 2 online games per year. Of course, like 2 or more this year since it's, the launch year or whatever. But knowing Nintendo's track record and their lack of understanding that online multiplayer is big these days, and the lack of understanding that a lot of their franchises would be perfect fits for online multiplayer, Star Fox, for instance, we know that they're not going to be offering that many. So it's like we're paying to play by the end of this generation, we're going to be paying to play a few games online. Think about that. That's insane. If you're going to charge us, you need to be on par with the competition services, and you need to actually give us online games to actually make the money worthwhile. I'm not going to pay to play online if all you're going to offer me, Nintendo, is Splatoon, Mario Kart. Does ARMS have online? I think ARMS might have online. And then those are like, 3-4 games this year, and then next year one game might come out with online. We skip a whole year where there's no Nintendo game with online, and then next year we get one more game. That's not going to cut it this gen. And if you guys think I'm exaggerating, just go back to the Wii U, because I'm not. Go back to the Wii U. Go back to the Wii even. And think about how many online Nintendo titles there were, especially on the Wii U. Not that many at all. You could probably count them all on one hand, maybe 2. Let me think. Splatoon, Mario Kart, Smash, Wii Sports Resort. Tropical Freeze didn't have online. 3D World didn't have online. I'm at 4. I can't even think of any more. It's not an exaggeration, people. They're literally expecting us to play online when they're most likely not even going to give us online games to utilize what we're paying for. And we know that it's not going to be getting all these third-party games either, so you really can't even make the argument that's for the third parties either. Most of the third-party games this system's going to get are from Japanese developers, meaning a lot of these games are going to be RPGs, as we saw at the reveal. Lots of RPGs. RPGs tend to not be online. They tend to be single-player affairs unless they're MMOs. So we're getting charged to pay to play online, and there's not even going to be that many games on the Switch by the end of its life cycle that would even justify this online. Again, if it's something like $10, maybe $20, okay. But if it's $40 or above, not okay, guys. So this whole online business, not good. Paying to play online, not good. Just like Sony and Microsoft, yes. But I paid for Xbox Live. I paid for PSN. So, I'm not being a hypocrite. If I were to get a subscription, a lot of you watching this video would be, though, because you guys used to trash Sony for months when they first announced that they were forcing people to pay to play online, and now Nintendo's doing it. You guys look, it's okay because my favorite company's doing it, right? No, it's not how it works. And then these accessories, and just imagine what they're going to have in the future. These are just the launch accessories. They're going to have so much more and make us pay more. Not to mention the fact that, of course, we're going to have to buy, those of you who like to get your games digitally, which this system will encourage you to buy your games digitally. So there'll probably be a higher percentage of digital owners with the Switch than there was with the Wii U, since this is a portable system, right? People might not want to, carry around a bunch of cartridges because you could lose those. They're very prone to be lost if you're going to airports and you're traveling and stuff, and cars and stuff like that. So I know with my 3DS, I went all digital on my 3DS. I got like 2 physical games, and that was kind of like in the beginning. But I went all digital. So I know how it feels, to have a portable system and how that encourages you to go digital. But yet they're only offering 32 gigabytes of storage. And I know, I realize since it's a handheld, of course, it can't have a huge hard drive in it. I get that. And of course, I also understand that flash memory is more expensive than regular disk memory. I understand that as well. But that being said, they could do more than 32 people. 32 is not that much now these days. They could have easily done 64, which still would have been small, but I mean, you would think they would at least double it from the last generation. Come on. Now, as far as patches and DLC, we'll be fine. Yes, because I understand that those things can be saved to the game cartridges themselves. Yes, that's a fair argument. That makes perfect sense. That's logical. But for anyone wanting to go digital, it's going to suck for them. It's going to really, really suck because they're going to have to buy, 512 megabyte, SD cards, not megabyte, gigabyte SD cards that do exist. But I do think that they're pretty expensive right now. Then, of course, still no Ethernet, adapter, not adapter, there's an adapter, but no Ethernet port. Yes, it's a portable system, but they do have a dock that has ports in it. They could easily put an Ethernet port in the dock. Still no Ethernet port, so if you still don't have a Ethernet adapter, you have to go out and buy that. They're just requiring so much extra of you to buy now, including the online subscription, and you're not even really getting that much of a premium product to begin with. It's just, guys, make sure you guys tweet Nintendo of America. Tweet this video if you don't know what to say to them. Just tweet at them. Let them know that we want these features, the online features, on the system itself. I want my friends list accessible on the system. I want to be able to invite my friends from the system. I want to be able to chat from the system. And I don't want to pay $80 for a dock, $80 for 2 slide controllers, $30 for the controller dock, like that. Let them know this stuff is not okay. Make sure they know how we feel. As of right now, this is the only really big negative things I could think about. So my next few videos might be mostly the things I like about the Switch, the things I'm looking forward to, stuff like that. But this is really significant stuff, people. If you don't think this stuff is big, you're wrong. Period. This stuff is very impactful. This stuff could be a deal breaker for most people. Some people will not buy it just because of this. This is very important things. So that's it, this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll see y'all later.